I'm making a retro action-adventure horror game taking place in space. A lot has been added and changed since the last devlog. For starters, one of the biggest changes is the higher base resolution. To achieve the retro look, I have the game actually render an image of what the camera sees. This way I can control the amount of pixels rendered while still running the game at higher base resolutions. In the last devlog, the game was very pixelated, which I think had its charm, but over time it was becoming almost hard to look at. And when I started working on a hacking device, not being able to read small text became a pretty big issue. So I decided to increase the resolution of the rendered image, which solved a lot of my problems, but it still remains pretty low to keep that retro charm. I'll definitely experiment more with this effect as I develop the game. I might even lose it altogether or maybe make it optional, if the game's atmosphere stays relatively the same with or without it. The hacking device, or otherwise known as the bypass device, has a role in most aspects of the game, from the puzzles, navigation, to combat, exploration, and even dialogue, allowing you to interact with all sorts of computers and other devices. The look of the device is still work in progress. It's got no textures, no animations, and I'm planning to redesign it in the near future to better fit what I have in mind for in-game upgrades and the like. I want the hacking mechanics to stand out from other games like Watch Dogs and Devlog, so my idea was to have the hacking a bit more in depth, where you have up to 3 actions depending on the device you're trying to hack. When equipped, the device sits in the lower left corner, just high enough for its upper screen to remain visible, so you can still see whether an object is hackable or not. Holding down the right mouse button brings up the device, showing the currently available hacking actions, and enables what I call hack vision, where you can see power lines and hackable objects through walls. For the first hacking-related puzzle, I created these pipes that hide in the floor and connect the power output to a door. If you follow the pipes, they lead to a mini-game often found in other games, but with a slight twist, where the pieces you have to rotate are actually inside the walls and can then be rotated using the bypass device. I often try and find opportunities to keep mechanics interconnected with each other and the world they inhabit, and I think this is a pretty good example of that done pretty well. Most recently, I've been working on the area where you meet your first enemies. I don't want to spoil too much of the game, so I'll just showcase some of the new mechanics in this test level. I created this battery which currently serves no purpose other than to shock anyone too close when hacked. Now the player has a means to defeat his foe using only the hacking device. The enemies have seen some pretty big updates since the last devlog, my absolute favorite one being the audio responsive pulsating effect they got going on now. Before, the outer orb thingy just had one animation where it pulsated at a fixed rate with no variation, which in hindsight was pretty lame given how much more dynamic they are now. I got the idea to make them audio responsive when I was thinking about what sort of sound they should make, so I found some bassy yet ethereal sounding music, picked one for when it's roaming around, and one for when it's hostile. This change immediately made them so much cooler and freakier. I then added some much needed sounds and particle effects for their different actions, my favorite being the death effects. Seeing them explode into black dust that actually collides with geometry just doesn't get old. The enemies still require some tweaking since it's pretty easy to dodge their attacks right now, but for now I just made it so the projectiles are a little faster and they can shoot up to 3 of them in a short burst before the attack cooldown kicks in. Do you like reading? Well, I don't, but I'm dumb, so I added notes in the form of tablets you find in the environment. I'm trying my best to have next to no HUD elements in the game, so having the read text appear on the tablet was the most obvious alternative. I think it came out pretty good, though the colors probably need some tweaking and the reading UI is pretty basic right now, but at least I like its simplicity. Other than that, I've just been creating the layout of the ship, which I'm not sure how much of it I want to show off for spoiler reasons. My plan for when I'm done with this basic version of the first level, having hit all major story beats, I'll start going into details, adding textures, more props, and just try and make it look as good as I want the final game to look. Then, having better knowledge of how long that actually takes, I'll evaluate just how much bigger the level can get, and whether I can actually do things like add weapons and make the level more open to explore. So now I'm just gonna focus on the 2 last major story beats of the level, which I honestly can't wait to start working on and show you guys when it's ready. Thanks for watching, leave a like if you likey, and don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on future content. See you!